So for the next part of the build, we're going to be bolting on this, the stator. Now this bolts on the primary side of the engine and is actually the first part of your charging system. Once this is bolted on, a rotary goes over the top, and inside that rotary is lined with magnets. It's these magnets in motion that as they pass these coils, it generates the electricity. It actually generates it in an AC current, and then it's your reg-rec, which turns it into a DC and charges your battery. But that's going in a little bit too much. All we need to know is this good enough to be bolted into our bike? The checks that I'm going to be doing on this, you can also do on your own bike to check whether your charging system is working properly, if you ever have a faulty battery or anything like that, so that you can eliminate that it's actually your stator that you need to change. So stick around and let's get this bolted on. Welcome back, my name's Ben and this is Black Dirt Cycles. If this is your first time here, please scroll down a little bit and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, also hit the little bell next to it and that will notify you of any time I upload a new video. If you find this video of use, you find it informative, then please give it a thumbs up and leave me a little comment below as well. If you've got any ideas for videos or things that you want to see, maybe I could show it, so put those in the comment as well and I'll see what I can film for you. Now I know it seems a little bit weird to be talking about the electrics of this bike, considering in the last video we only just got the engine into the frame. But because I want to get everything buttoned up on this primary side, this really is the next thing that needs to go into the engine. So like I said in the intro, we do need to check it first because this bike has stood for 7 years before I've got it to this state here. It was dismantled by someone else, so we're not even sure if any of these components still work. Fortunately, there are a few tests that we can do on this using a multimeter that are not too difficult. So first of all, get your multimeter and turn it onto the ohms setting. Let's let this fire up, get it set up. Cool. And you'll see that on the screen it is showing OL, showing for open line, I think that stands for. On this particular stator, it's just a 2-pin one. Some of them may be a 3-pin stator. That's fine, the process is exactly the same. All you need to do is take one of your probes and start by placing it into one of the holes. It doesn't matter which one, you can place it into any of them. Then with your other probe, I need to do this two-handed, you would then push it into the other hole and check that you are getting a reading, which we are. That shows that we have got some kind of continuity through the actual stator itself. The other thing that you would then check if you had more holes is once you've taken it out of that one, go to the other hole and check that. Then keep moving around all your pins, making sure that you're getting an ohms reading through all of your connections. The next thing that you want to be checking is to make sure that once this is generated power, that it's actually going to be delivered through these wires to the battery and not just pass through the engine and get earthed out and then potentially not be used at all. So what we'll then do is if we transfer this over, so now we're going to do a continuity test, and if I touch these two together, we'll get that audio noise to know that there is continuity. Okay, so to check that again, one probe goes into the other hole, and I'm getting that noise come through the multimeter. But to check that it's not, that the bindings are not broke on this and that it's going to go to earth, this is the area that actually bolts to the engine. So with that probe held inside that hole there, if I touch this case, if I was to get a noise, that would tell me that one of these windings was broke and that it was earthing out and this stator would be no good. Seems pretty cool. That one seems to be working. Take the pin out, drop it into the other one. Oh, where are we? There. And then go round that earth ring again, or that mounting ring again. We're not getting any tone, so that tells me that this stator, we know it's okay to a certain degree. Unfortunately, until we actually bolt it in, get the rotor over and get it generating, that's when we can do our final test on it. But at this moment I'm confident to bolt that into the engine and I'm pretty sure it's going to be working from there. Right, so what I'm going to do now, just going to reposition the camera so you can see it get mounted, the cable routing, and yeah, let's get this thing bolted up. Here we have the actual stator itself, and you can see we've got the mounting holes here, here, here and here. You've got the cable coming out the back side of it, and the cable actually runs through this channel here in the casing, and then this big grommet goes through the hole up in the top there. What you need to do is press it over, with trying to line those holes up as best as possible. I'm just going to put an Allen key through there so that I know that they are perfectly aligned. Feels pretty good. It's not all the way home, it's not pushed right in snug. I'll let the bolts do that. So that's the 4 securing bolts done up now with a little bit of red Loctite on them. Next up, we need to thread this cable through the hole here. A little bit fiddly. Put it all the way through from the back. The last thing I'm going to do, just to help that go through, bit of oil on that rubber grommet. Hopefully, there we go, pops in nicely. The last little bit is a retaining plate that bolts into these 2 holes here and keeps those cables back out the way of the rotor. This particular bike didn't come with one of these plates, so I made one myself. Those holes are not where I went wrong, they're go faster holes to make it lighter, and I'm going to stick by that. Have it. There's the stator bolted up, the retaining plate holding the cables back, the grommet pushed into the case, and then the wires are just hanging over the back of the engine now. First part of the electrics installed. Now we can move on with the rest of the build.